Hello. So I've been reading the Bible. I've been reading the Quran. I don't know how to say it. Doesn't matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I've read The Art of War so much and studied it so much. I don't need to read that again. I get The Art of War. And also there's Buddhism. I'll get to Buddhism last. But let's talk about the Bible and the Quran. So, I have found no corruption in either of them. There's no corruption in either of them. They're both good books. Maybe the best books. Anyway, there is a few caveats that I have to tell you about. The Quran was written for me. The Bible was written for y'all. The Bible was also written for me, but not really. Let me rephrase that. I can read the Bible at the objective level and at the subjective level, and it's fine. Y'all cannot read the Bible at the objective level. When you read the Bible, you have to remember that it is subjective, and that it's not talking about other people ever. It's talking about your relationship with God. That's how you have to read the Christian Bible. You have to read it as if it is a subjective thing, as if the relationship is not with other people, it's with you. It's with God. Your relationship with Jesus, it's your relationship with Jesus, your relationship with God, and I'm not saying they're the same thing. I would equate God to heaven, but be skeptical about my judgments. So yeah, just when you're reading the Bible, just remember it is a subjective thing, and you gotta read it so that it is about your relationship with God, your relationship with Jesus. It's not really about your relationship with others. Unless it's, about your relationship with others. Like how Job lost his family, how Lot lost his wife. It's still subjective. So now onto the Quran, which I like a fuck ton. I really like the Quran, guys. That is an amazing book, and it was written for me as a prophet. It was written for me as a prophet. And when I say prophet, I put it in quotes, because I've said that before. Really, I am like a profex. Really, I'm just like a super aware being. A being that was prophesized. I call myself a prophet because I fit the definition of prophet. But if I was to update, I could update the definition of prophet, and I would fulfill more requirements than the current definition of prophet requires, I believe. So really, when I say I'm a prophet, I'm changing the definition by adding to it. By adding more qualifications to it. So the Quran was written for me. It was written for all of you too. I'm not saying that it's not a good book for y'all to read. But it was written for someone like me to read objectively. To read as if the speaker is talking to me. But I believe, and this I don't know, let me just read a little bit about it. Yeah, as far as I can tell, it was written for me. It's just obvious. They're constantly talking about me. About what I am and what I need to do. And how I need to treat y'all. Which is why I took down all my videos. Because in the Quran it said don't share your signs. And in the Bible it says don't give your alms to dogs. Or your bread to alms, to gods, to dogs. I'm gonna check the time. Okay. So, yeah, the book of the Quran, book of the Muslim faith, which I'm taking them all. They're all mine now. They're all mine. I want them. They're in my possession. They're in my possession is what I mean. And I'm gonna, what is one of the definitions of prophet? Clarification. I'm gonna clarify these things for you. So, when you read the Quran, I am the child of Israel. That's that. I'm the child of Israel. And I don't know what y'all are. Y'all might be the child of Israel too. But I'm on a different level. So when I read the Quran, I get a different meaning from it from you. I'm not going to judge what you should be judging. Even though I just did. But that's what I'm going to... So I'm telling you how I'm judging the Quran. How I judge the Quran, how I interpret the meaning of the Quran, is that I'm the child of Israel. However you want to interpret it is fine. But when you're on my level of maturity, I am referred to as the child of Israel. Yeah, I like that. Whatever I just said is cool. So the Bible, good read. I don't understand much of it. I haven't read enough of it. Or, you know what? I've read enough of the Bible, but I really have to go to Mass. I have to go to Catholic Mass. I've been going to a church that's all about the Trinity and God. I gotta read about the stations. I gotta learn about the Stations of the Cross and stuff like that. I need to learn the costumed symbols of Christianity. Because I've read a lot of the Bible and I read it all the time and stuff like that. So the Bible is good, read it subjectively. The Art of War is great. But you gotta remember that when you're reading The Art of War, Sun Tzu was associated with awareness. Awareness equals generalship. So when you're reading The Art of War, read it as if, when I read The Art of War now, you will judge something different. It is fine. But at my level of maturity, when I read The Art of War, I can tell that Sun Tzu was associated with awareness. I was associated with logos. And I broke free of that now, and I had no associations whatsoever. Which was really cool. So, that's The Art of War. Buddhism, I don't know about his tenets, or anything about that. I also don't know the tenets of Quran. I don't know any of that stuff, really. I guess I know the pillars of Buddhism. But, when you're reading about Buddha, I have no idea what Satma Gudi something the prophet, the Buddhist prophet who was not the Buddha. The Buddha is a symbol of the goal. There was a prophet that made that, and that created that symbol. That he was associated with awareness. If the prince whoever left the castle to go suffer in the wilderness ever called himself Buddha, he was associated with awareness the same way as Sun Tzu was. So, but I don't know about Buddhism. I'm not reading as far as I can tell, there's no Buddhist Bible. There's no Buddhist Quran. Which is fine. So, the three prophets that I care about. Buddhism is the fourth, and I don't really care about it other than meditation is awesome. Yoga is awesome, and other stuff. But the three prophets that are important: Mary Magdalene, Muhammad, and Sun Tzu. These prophets, Mary Magdalene, Sun Tzu, and Muhammad, are good books to read. You just have to read them in certain ways. You have to remember that at my level of maturity, I can read the Bible objectively and subjectively. I can do that. But when you're reading about the prophet Mary Magdalene and her association, she was disassociated with Jesus. When you read her, you gotta be, whoever is watching my video, unless you're a child. If you're a child, you can do whatever the fuck you want on your maturity level. But if you're an adult, read the Bible subjectively. Read Mother Mary's prophecies, Mother Mary's words subjectively. When you read the Quran, remember that I am the child of Israel. And I have no idea how you should read it. That's fine. I can read it however I want. But that's all you need to know. The way I'm reading it is I'm the one they are talking about. When y'all read it, you should probably read about it as if they're talking about people in general. I'm reading it as if they're talking directly about me. Check the time. So, Sun Tzu, you gotta read it as if he thinks that he is awareness. He doesn't know about the I. I's being. He doesn't know I's being. And maybe, I don't know, I just haven't read enough of the Quran yet. I take back all my statements about Muhammad, about him saying the last prophet, and him saying God can't be drawn, because I haven't read the Quran yet. And I know I can't take back judgments. I'll see y'all.